Do you love the RCWR show with Lee Sanders? Then support the show that's currently ranked in the top 10 shows on Spreaker.com in the wrestling category, on Patreon.com, and get exclusive access to new original content, including our 30 with Lee series, bonus and vintage RCWR episodes, exclusive guest interviews, prize giveaways, online community chat, live show call-in features, and so much more. Support the RCWR show on patreon.com/RCWR show. Once again, that's patreon.com/RCWR show. The RCWR show with Lee Sanders, entertaining you since 2011.
Warning, the RCWR show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
There we go. See, now we got it good. I had to do that like a couple of times. I'm like, God damn it. Look, that's what happens when you take your show on the road. And part of going on the road, you actually take a critical piece of equipment, the laptop. My settings are still a little bit screwed up over here, but I'm ironing out the kinks. I honestly believe that by next week's show, everything will be nice and smooth again. What is going on? It is great to be back. We pretty much did not do a Tuesday night edition of the RCWR show last week. I am, of course, the one and only Lee Sanders, and you're checking out this edition for Tuesday night, June 20th, 2017. I somewhat feel well rested. I wish I felt a lot more well rested. Honestly, just all the craziness that was going down from covering Awesomecon. Oh my God, I gotta tell you guys all about it. Of course, there's going to be some exclusive content I'll be uploading to YouTube, including more candid thoughts on meeting certain stars that I was able to meet during the event. But come one, come all, join me for the next little bit. I'm going to be live. You can get at me on the chat via Spreaker. You can also make sure you follow me. I know I'll probably say this towards the end of the show, but it's nice to push it out in the beginning. You can check me out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at the RCWR show. That's at the RCWR show. Yeah, man, so I had I had Thursday off from my second job, but I had to go into my day job. So pretty much after that was over, and that was like a half day, I pretty much had the rest of the day to myself, and I was just itching, man. I was telling my girl, I said, man, I wish we could have like actually went out maybe Thursday and got our room. She's like, nah, because we still would have had to leave kind of early on Sunday. Check out from the hotel, that is. We were always intended to cover Awesomecon for all 3 days, but there was a part of me that wanted to try to, honestly, if I could have had it my way, I would have loved to have checked in Thursday night and basically check out Monday morning. I would have loved for that to have gone down. And it's not like we didn't have the money, because we did have the money, but like it just really came down to making sure that we maximized our dollars and making sure we truly had, hey, this is a really good investment. This was really a good decision to make. So if anything, I wish maybe we could have tacked on Sunday. That would have been good. But then at the same time, we both would have had to get up pretty early just to head on back, because I know my girl had work on Monday. So unless she was maybe going to take Monday off, maybe that would have kind of worked out that way. I don't know, right? But Awesomecon 2017, what a great event that had occurred down in the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. I've been saying it passionately and sincerely ever since it pretty much wrapped up, but definitely from the bottom of my heart, I want to extend a big thank you to the kind staff and management of this year's Awesomecon, and in particular, I so greatly, humbly appreciate the management team inviting the RCWR show to participate as part of the press media in covering this event. I gotta tell you, this was great. It was a really great learning experience, and it was also a really great test for the show, because if you're gonna take your show out on the road, if you're gonna be in a position where you're gonna try to interview people, you're gonna try to come out of your comfort zone a little bit and try something new, I tell you, there's no better place to do it than at an event like this that has just grown exceptionally bigger and bigger over the years. I mean, this was just, I can't imagine what's going to happen next year, but I tell you, man, not at any time did I have any trepidations, did I have any type of fear. It was just, okay, I'm going to do this. And something that was really cool that my girl pointed out to me, honestly, I would have to say it was probably Saturday she pointed it out to me. She said, I got to tell you, just the way you have been handling these crowds and interacting with people, you've come a really good long way, to the point I think you're going to be okay when we get ready to go on our cruise. Because I tell you, many, many years ago, and for the longest time, I have not been able to gel well when I am amongst a big crowd of people. In the past, I would get extremely nervous. I felt very uncomfortable. I didn't like my surroundings. I kind of felt like the walls were just closing in on me and like I was suffocating. And as a result of that, I had to like get out of that position. So, I mean, it would be downright kind of embarrassing and awkward, because there would be times like me and the missus would be getting ready, maybe going to a store, and, you know, it's like a really popular store because everybody in that city/county is going to it because it's like 5-star quality good, and it's so massive, it's almost like a mall or whatever, and we're in there for like 2 minutes and boom, the anxiety hits, and then I have to leave, and she's trying to understand what's going on with me. She's not sure if I'm just being difficult, and it took me a long time to really break down and let her know what was going on with me, my phobia and all of that, just the mental stress that was coming with it. But I'm not sure what has happened over the years, but it just seems to be dying down. Yeah, I think maybe I will be okay when it comes time to do a cruise, man. I mean, there were so many people at Awesomecon. But again, I really appreciate the staff that extended the invitation to us to participate in this study, I said study, forgive me guys, to participate at Awesomecon. Look, I'm ready to do it again. I'm already ready for 2018. Whether we go as part of the press media or we get ourselves a booth, and honestly, we just do the show right there live for the whole 3-day event. I mean, honestly, I would have no problem doing a 4-hour show. Maybe we could figure out some type of way to have guests stop by the booth, and or be in a position where we could, still be doing the press thing and doing coverage as well, because there was actually a couple of podcasts that were there, and when I was talking to some of my friends about it, it was like, yeah, dude, yeah, if you got the money, yeah, you could actually get yourself a booth and you can actually do your podcast right here. Some of those guys, they had like no guests come by, no people at all stop by. They were just some podcasts, and they just kept right on walking. I understand what some of these podcasts are doing. It's pretty much like brand awareness or whatever, but you got to have like an official game plan, man. You got to have something really concrete instead of just, all right, I'm gonna cough up this money and we're just gonna do our show here. I mean, don't get me wrong, great for brand awareness, but unless you got one guy that's going to be walking around, and they're going to be taking notes on everything that's going to be happening during that 3-day event. It makes no sense coughing up $300-$400 for a booth just to be sitting there trying to look cool, quite honestly, because I got to tell you guys, I saw a few podcasts that, honestly, they were just doing it just like that. And there was some I researched online. I'm like, wow, the numbers are pretty low. When I say low, like, okay, you only got like about 50 subscribers. Okay, you're only averaging about 14 views for your shows. And you're going about brand awareness the wrong way. Just because you cough up that money and you got a booth, that doesn't mean that, boom, you're going to be an overnight sensation. You got to do some stuff. So, yeah. So we'll try to see what we can do as far as next year goes. But, so, Friday was awesome. Friday, the way it all had kicked off, me and my girl, we were off work that day. And we made sure we had clearance. I tell you, with my second gig, I was just coming at them for weeks. I'm like, dudettes, y'all know. Because I told them right before they even hired me. I told them during my interview, I said, look, I have to have these dates off. These are, locked in dates. I already put money down for my room. There's no way I can do these dates. And that was probably like the last little thing that was kind of like, what is going on? And like, I didn't finally get the green light until Thursday. So I was like, whew, good. Because one of the days I knew that was a lock, but it was the other day that was kind of like, what's going on? Because it didn't really seem like I was getting helped. But so Friday, we packed all our stuff up. We headed out Friday morning. And we hit the freeway. We did about probably, I want to say, let me see. I want to say we traveled for like about 90 minutes because we actually did not drive into DC. What we ended up doing was we got up in the morning. We drove around the neighborhood doing some last minute errands. I had needed to pick up a couple of more key pieces of equipment for Awesomecon, and after we got all that squashed, then it was like, okay, time to go. So we had our luggage, we had our equipment, we pretty much left the car parked in front of our home, and we got on the metro. We took a bus, and I think we took 2 trains, and we got off at Mount Vernon Square, green-yellow line in DC, Northwest DC. And then from there, boom. I mean, we were right there. The convention's like literally right there at Mount Vernon Square. So from there to our hotel, it was honestly about a 4, maybe a 5-block walk. It was basically like less than a 10-minute walk. So it was really, I can't stress it enough, because I first came back to DC, or rather, I first moved to the DC metropolitan area back in 1992. And I tell you, I am just amazed at how drastically the neighborhood has changed over the years. It's just crazy. Like, I see a lot of apartment complexes. Hey, that's still there? Wow, awesome. And it's so funny because, like, these same neighborhoods that I used to walk down so many years ago, all you saw down there was nothing but blacks. You saw maybe a couple of Hispanics sprinkled here or there, but it was mainly dominated by blacks. So to walk down these same streets all these years later and see such great diversity, I love it. I tremendously love it. It's like a welcoming breath of fresh air to see, old rundown empty lots, or to see abandoned properties all demolished, remodeled. It's very lively. It's very upbeat. It's got life to it now. I never thought walking down those same streets today I would see such great diversity when it comes to race. I mean, it was just something that really, really took me back. You still had your low income housing complexes. I was able to spot those a mile away. You saw some of the residents that were occupying some of those, and you still have them there. They're not going to go anywhere. Honestly, they are not going to go anywhere. Those landlords are not stupid. That is a situation that's going to pass down from family to family, going to continue to be able to make some decent money off of those properties, including low-income housing properties. So, but I would imagine that for maybe a new resident trying to move up in there, they probably may have some high rent compared to those that have been there for a good minute now. But yeah, we walked about 4 blocks, maybe 5, to our hotel. And I got to give a shout out to the hotel. It was the Cambria on 9th and O Street in Northwest DC. A fantastic hotel, let me tell you. From the moment that we walked in there, the customer service was exceptionally good. Although I didn't really like the fact that the very next day we saw the same guy that welcomed us, checked us in. We talked to him for about 7 minutes, and when we saw him the next day, we said hello. I mean, he replied hello back and everything, but he kind of acted as if he maybe forgot us. And that just, I won't say it rubbed us the wrong way, but we did think it was a little bit weird, because when we checked in on Friday, we told them, hey, we're here as part of the press because we're going to be covering the Awesomecon event. He was like, oh, yeah, that is going down this weekend. I've heard a lot about that. Yeah, there's actually supposed to be a lot of people that's going to be coming here between tonight, and it's really going to pick up on Saturday. And we were like, yeah, really? He's like, yeah, it's going to pick up big time, but y'all came at a really good time to check in. And this was a place I had booked a couple of months ago as soon as I had got our press credentials. And, I specifically told them I need a room with a really great view. And anybody that was staying connected via the Facebook pages, you'd have seen some of the videos that I had posted as I was checking in, letting you guys get a bird's eye view on how everything was so far, especially with the hotel. Great view. It was a really great view. Nice lot. And, you guys that saw it on Facebook, y'all saw the views. So it was a nice little spot. Honestly, a great spot to be in. So many restaurant options, let me tell you. So, yeah, we checked in, got situated, and I told my girl, I said, look, this pretty much is kicking off at noon. We actually got a little bit of time. It's kind of slow right now. We can honestly take our time, and if anything, we can stroll on over there around 2 or whatever. So pretty much that's what we did, just to try to get our feet wet, see what was going on. I recall Charlotte, Nakamura, they were going to be there on Saturday, and I told the missus, look, I'm trying to see these guys, so I definitely am going to do this on Saturday. She's like, well, what about your media coverage? Don't worry, I'm going to be filming. Don't worry about that stuff. We're going to do it. We're going to squash that. So I got I guess tickets is what I can call it, to see Nakamura, Charlotte. I actually had candidly spoke about that on YouTube, so I don't want to keep rehashing, but I literally just did a video piece prior to coming on the air talking about my experience meeting Charlotte Flair and Shinsuke Nakamura. So you guys can definitely check that out on YouTube as soon as you get done checking out this episode, or maybe if you're listening to this on demand, you can pause, you can go check it out, and then come on back. But one thing that I stressed on my instant Facebook Live reactions that I didn't stress in the YouTube piece, and I can't stress it enough, is just how beautifully stunning Charlotte Flair is to me in person. I'm not trying to sound like a beaten up horse, just saying it over and over and over again, but I sincerely mean it. I mean, Tammy will tell you, the girl looks better in person. Off the break, you're going, damn, she looks just like her dad. but then immediately you're like, wow, all the stuff that we see on TV with the lights, the camera, and the makeup, nothing compared to when you meet her in person. And she has the softest hands, let me tell you. So it was really awesome meeting her. Definitely awesome meeting Shinsuke. Great. It was great seeing those guys. Caught up with some old friends. That was, I tell you what, if you're going to work out the kinks and doing interviews, doing on-the-spot location interviews, who better than to talk to a friend? And this was really cool because, honestly, I had not seen my friends in about 7 years. I mean, there's been long-distance communication off and on that honestly really didn't start picking up again until I would say several months ago. But, you know, we're family. It's like, that's how it is with us. We can go an extended period of time without talking to each other, and like we just pick up literally like right where we left off. So it was funny because as I was getting ready, and shout out to my man Brian of Oblivion Comics, make sure you show him some love, and check out the interview. If you guys didn't check out the interview that we did, it's actually on the YouTube channel in its entirety. I've been getting a decent amount of feedback for that interview. But yeah, we talked for like about, I want to say that interview was about maybe 17 minutes long, if I'm not mistaken, kind of close to 18 minutes. And that was hellacious good, man. But shout out to my man Brian Carpenter. Follow him on Twitter at SpiderBC. Now look, you can't spell that like Spider-Man. Nah, you got to spell that like SPYDER and then BC, like before Christ. He's on Twitter at SpiderBC. You can also check out his artwork at theartofthebrian.blogspot.com. You can also check out the Facebook page for Oblivion Comics, facebook.com/Oblivion Comics 1. Put in the actual number 1, Oblivion Comics 1. That's on Facebook. And he's on Instagram at The Art of the Brian. So it was great chatting with him. It was so funny too because like I was trying to get his girl, my pretend sister, to do an interview, and she's like, no, and I mean, poof, be gone. I mean, she disappeared. I'm like, and Brian's co-partner there in Ron Gaskin, shout out to Ron, you know, he's also co-creator, co-owner of Oblivion Comics. He disappeared, so they left Brian. But I thought Brian did an exceptionally damn good job. I mean, honestly, you get me and Brian sitting down, and honestly, we don't need to rehearse. We don't need to do shit. We can just boom. So what you see and hear with me and Brian, that is just generally how our chemistry has always worked over the years. You know, to put it bluntly, like with Alice in Chains, I am Lane Staley, he is Jerry Cantrell, and you know, to a degree, I find him more talented in a lot of areas than I am, and I'm quite sure he would say the same about me. But that is a man that I've always had, and I don't think I really say it enough to Brian, and I wish I actually would have said it to him in person, but you know, that is a guy I honestly have had always a lot of admiration and respect for. Talented guy, hell of a talented guy, always pushing the envelope, always just hungry as far as like, okay, well, how can I apply this craft to my art? What's the latest digital technology? What's got everybody talking? What's trending? He's always staying up to date on that stuff. So it was great catching up with him and picking his brain and everybody else on a lot of different things. There was this one guy that I had came across who I was supposed to interview. His name was TD. I believe his name was Tony. I don't want to say Duncan, like the Spurs player. I don't think his last name was Duncan, but his first name was definitely Tony. And I was going to try to interview him, but there was just something about the concept that he was mentioning that I really kind of had a hard time grasping. Put it to you this way, it really didn't resonate well with me. I'm not sure why, but it just kind of felt like, no, I don't really think this is really what's popping. I don't think this is really what's clicking. I don't really think this is what's going to have a lot of people talking. Now, look, I could be wrong. I would actually have to sit down and like really, but just first impressions, it was kind of like, nah, whatever. So Friday night was honestly, for day one, it was filled with getting the feet wet, understanding how the crowd flow was going down, also understanding how the lines were working, as far as photo ops, as far as autograph signings, Q&A panels, things of that nature, understanding where the artist alley corners are, understanding how their booths are set up, navigating through all that. So it was really just trying to get familiar with where everything is. And right when it ended, I'm trying to think what we had did on Friday night. I'm pretty sure we went back to our room. Actually, we went out for one of many nice walks through the nation's capital. So we definitely did a nice little walk afterwards on Friday night. Yeah, now that is coming back to me. My God. After Awesomecon ended, we must have talked to Brian and his wife, Ebony, my best friend. We must have all talked. Well, they're both my best friends. They're familia. We must have talked after Awesomecon. It felt like for about 2 hours. And we actually were in the rain. At many points, just talking, just talking, and the night pretty much ended with us going back to our room. And yes, it's coming back to me now. I said to Tammy, I said, look, are you hungry? She said, yeah, I could go for a bite to eat. I said, okay, well, let's go ahead, let's drop some of this stuff off. By the way, met Jerry the King Lawler. I can definitely go into more detail about that one. It was so funny because we ran into him on day one. And I believe he had just got done doing a Q&A. I'm pretty sure he got done doing a Q&A. It was for the Headlock Comics. So we just came from right around the corner and Tammy's like, hey, it's Jerry the King Lawler. I'm like, hun, don't point now. She's like, no, I'm not pointing. I know, we don't do stuff like that. But look, it's Jerry Lawler. I'm like, yeah, cool. And she's like, come on, let's go say. I'm like, no. She's like, why are you afraid? I'm like, I'm not afraid to speak to Jerry Lawler. It's just the guy is on his cell phone. I'm pretty sure he just got done doing a Q&A. The last thing I want to do is come up to him. Hey, Jerry. Hi. You're so cool. That's like the last thing I wanted to do. So I was like, no, let's let him be. I believe he has a booth that is going to be here for the whole weekend, promoting the Headlock Comics, promoting his artwork. So, honestly, let's just let him be. I'm pretty sure we'll run into him again. So sure enough, about maybe an hour or so later, we run into Jerry. He's at his booth. And Tammy's like, come on, let's go over here. I'm like, she's like, no. Come on over here. So we go over there. And we were looking at a series of really great artwork pieces from Jerry Lawler. He had a really good kick-ass colored illustration of AJ Styles. All the artwork I saw were prints, by the way. Nothing was original. But if you wanted Jerry to autograph one of those prints, I believe he wanted maybe $30 or $40. To those of you that were at Awesomecon, if you can give me a price confirmation, that'd be greatly appreciated. But I believe it was $30, maybe $40. So, we saw a really good drawing of AJ Styles. We saw a really good drawing of Samoa Joe. he did a really cool kick-ass drawing of Finn Balor as the Demon. Man, I mean, dude, I mean, you guys already know, especially if you saw It's Good to Be the King DVD, you know how excellent of a drawer Jerry Lawler is. It's like gotten to that point now, like, why hasn't this man been like hooked up with DC Comics or Marvel like full time? Like, seriously, you know? Especially right now, right? But man, it was just awesome. So Tammy was like, man, we can get a picture with Jerry. I'm like, you serious? She's like, yeah, we can get a picture with Jerry. Jerry's doing pictures. I'm like, sweet. She's like, why don't you take the picture with him? That'd be good brand awareness for you. I'm like, you sure? She's like, yeah, go for it. So I don't know who the young girl was. I don't know if she was maybe related to the Headlock co-creator, or if that was his wife, or if maybe that was Jerry's girl or whatever. But she was like, oh, so you want an autograph? Like, yeah, okay. So you want to do the autograph, and do you also want to go for a photo op? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And I believe that was either $30 or $40. Jerry had some really damn good prices, I must say. So I was getting ready to sit down, and the young girl actually wanted Tammy to be in the picture as well. And it was kind of like, sure, what the hell? Because Tammy was like, do you really want me to be in the picture? I'm like, I'd be honored to have you in the picture. Yeah, sure. Because she is a fan of Jerry Lawler as well. So it must be that whole Southern Memphis thing, because she has a lot of family down south and all that. And she, in her own right, had became a fan of wrestling growing up. She definitely remembers the old territory days and all that. Definitely remembers Jerry Lawler. So, yeah, we posed for a really nice picture. That was great. How'd I get on Jerry Lawler, by the way? I think I was just recapping for you guys what else had happened on night one. So, yeah, so bear in mind, like, after we did all that, we're in the rain. We were talking to Ebony and Brian, and it's raining at many points. I still have the photo of Jerry Lawler in my hand. So now I'm, like, trying to cover it up. And at one point, I put it under my shirt to make sure that it didn't get messed up. There was only, like, just a few maybe like 5 specks of rain that had hit it. But, yeah, after we got in from talking with them, we went out for a bite to eat. I'm like, you know what? Let's go on down to Chinatown. We can go find a really nice, good place to eat. There's a lot of places that's open late tonight. It's Friday night going into Saturday. We're going to be on point. So we actually ended up going to Hooters. And Tammy was like, I've never been to a Hooters before. I'm like, really? She's like, no, I've never been to a Hooters before. I'm like, okay, well, you're going to like this. Like, you know, the Hooters in Chinatown, it is the freaking best. It is the most awesome Hooters in Northwest DC that you will ever come across, because the food there is so freaking on point, man. So we went there, and it was funny watching her facial expressions as she's seeing. You know how it is if you've been to a Hooters. You see these women walking around with these booty shorts going all up the butt crack and all that, and they got these tiny tank tops on. So I said, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that there was this type of stuff. She goes, oh no, I've heard about it, but wow, not much to wear, huh? I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much how they roll. So I had some boneless chicken wing bites that were dipped in General Tso's sauce. I had some French fries, and I believe she had I think it was a hickory smoke chicken tenderloin sandwich and some fries. Really, really good. I'm telling you, if you're in Northwest DC, Hooters at Chinatown, 7th and 8th Street, that's where you want to go. Just off of Gallery Place, Chinatown, on the red line. That is where you want to go. It's actually off the red, green, and yellow line. That's where you want to go, man. They hook it up. That Hooters has been there for years. Anybody that knows about Northwest DC will tell you that Hooters has been there for years. And when it comes to Friday night, Saturday night, business is booming. They be staying open late. had a beer, had a Heineken up there. So we go back to the place and pretty much mellowed out for the rest of the night. Saturday had a little bit of a hiccup. Unfortunately, my diabetes, as you all know, I have good days, I have bad days, and I was pretty pissed because Saturday I had a bad day. We went early to do Awesomecon, and it was largely in part, I had my tickets for Charlotte, Shinsuke Nakamura. So after we had got done with that, that was like pretty early. I think that was like around noon or whatever. So after we did that, there really wasn't supposed to be any more cool festivities to partake in until like about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And at that point, the exhibition was to remain open until about 7 p.m. So we actually were like, okay, well, you know what? We got a little bit of a gap. Well, let's go back to the hotel. Let's chill for a little bit and we can come on back. And honestly, originally, we were going to try to partake in the Jason David Frank Q&A panel. And we were also going to try to see if maybe we could do like a post interview with him. But my diabetes, just out of nowhere, it just started kicking my ass. I started getting a big headache. Physically, I just was not feeling good. I was in pretty significant pain. And I just wanted to chill for the rest of the freaking day. So that is like, I'm trying to think if that's like literally what had happened on Saturday. I think we maybe had tried to go back out and did a little something, but we pretty much had came on back and it was like, nah, it ain't happening. And it was actually kind of nice because the Cambria Hotel, we spent a decent amount of money for the room for 3 nights. So it was like, you know what, we might as well enjoy this. We might as well get the best out of this, yeah? So it was actually pretty nice. And I got to tell you, very modern. There were flat screen Samsung TVs. There were cordless phones. I mean, I trip over the simplest things. So I have stayed at a lot of hotels over the years. I'm not sure about you guys, but I've done a lot of traveling over the years. And to be in a position where I have a hotel room that has Samsung flat screen TVs, cordless phones throughout the hotel room, right? And then you've got USB chargers all over the place. And when I say USB chargers, like, you know how you go to your wall socket outlet? Well, you got USB chargers all over the place. I'm going, my God, this is freaking heaven. The microwave, everything was just brand name there. If you guys had looked at the Facebook video I did for you guys, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, it was just so very modern, the way that they had the room set up there. Great. It was just like, wow, this is, so it was nice, really. Oh my God, and the bed, best sleep I've had in a long time. To wake up and not have a crook in my neck, to wake up actually feeling well rested. Oh, I tell you, it was the stuff dreams are made of, because we got some raggedy ass pillows over here. Let me tell you, I've been telling my girl for months, we got to get some new pillows. We got to get some new pillows. Well, guess what? We finally did get some new pillows. We had got some, oh God, I can't think of the name of the, if you told me the name of some of the pillow manufacturers, I probably would be able to tell you more, but their name escapes me right now. But we had got like a memory foam pillow. We bought like 2 of them from Kohl's, and them joints were hard as hell. It was like the worst night of sleep that we had experienced, period, since we've been a couple. So it was like, no, take these pillows back. That bed, the pillows, everything was on point. So Saturday night, we actually went down and we decided, you know what? Let's eat at the hotel. And I shared a couple of pictures on social media. Great food, man. I mean, the food was just, I don't know about the prices. I really do not know about the prices. But, you know, honestly, if you're there for like our case 3 nights and you decide, you know what, let me just eat at the hotel just 1 night, then yeah, you can definitely get away with it. You can definitely get away with 1 night. $15 ain't bad. Honestly, if you ask me straight up, $15 ain't bad for one person. But like when you're doing it for two people, it's kind of like, okay, you should have a lot to show for if you're going to be shelling out like $30 or whatever. But that shit gets expensive real quick, especially at that hotel. I mean, pretty much we ended up with like a $70 bill. I bullshit you not. We ended up with a $70 bill. All I had was burger, fries. I had 2 IPAs. Tammy had a sundae. She had I'm trying to think of the type of sandwich she had. I think it had something to do with grilled chicken meat. And she had french fries. And somehow... Oh, and she had an alcoholic drink. Somehow it all came together to be $70. And I'm going, are you serious? $70? Like, damn, we could have like went and bought some groceries with that freaking money, man. It was stupid. It was stupid. And no, it wasn't my pillow. It wasn't my pillow, Freddie. It was not my pillow. I'm thinking something along the lines of maybe Sealy or something like that. Like I said, these were pillows that we got at Kohl's. You definitely cannot get my pillow from Kohl's. So any Kohl's experts out there that know a thing or two about buying crappy pillows in the past, I think you would be in agreement with me. Comes to Kohl's, you really, really have to be very careful about the pillows that you get up there. So, yeah, $70 bill for the food that we had ate there. But it was damn tasty. Hey, in the process, I discovered a new IPA. And I was really, really fucking ecstatic about it. As a matter of fact, I just want to make sure I plug their name one more time. Hang on a second, guys. Just got to go reach back here and make sure I'm reading the name right here. Yeah. Got to give a shout out to Dogfish Head 90-minute IPA. That shit, I had that for like the first time at the hotel. That shit was good. Was it like 9.0% alcohol or whatever? I'm like, damn, this is really good. It was so hilarious too, man, because like the waiter somehow messed up my order when it came to my alcoholic beverage. You guys got to check out the video on Facebook because I was freaking lit. But I came off very well relaxed from what I was told by people. But yeah, look, it was so good. I ended up getting a bottle of it on the house, and then to add more insult to injury, we actually went to the nearby grocery store to pick up a case, and I got those in my fridge as we speak. I have not touched those yet. I'm probably not going to be touching those anytime soon until maybe SummerSlam. So I'm that's the goal right now. I'm just going to hold off because I don't really drink like that. You know, given my diabetes, I don't really drink like that. I do it like every couple of months, honestly. And when I do it every couple of months, it's usually 2-3 bottles, and then I'm pretty much done. So probably SummerSlam is when I'm going to be having some more of that good IPA. But check those guys out if you haven't gotten the opportunity to drink that. Trust me, you'll thank me later, especially if you're a big fan of IPAs. So Sunday was the big day. Sunday, and I'll talk a little bit more candid about it exclusively in front of the camera, so you guys will be able to see me in the flesh on all the social media platforms. But I got to meet the man himself, Excelsior Stan Lee. Fucking awesome. I mean, to see him in that chair, basically sitting there like Don Corleone. that shit was just awesome. It was truly, I felt like a little kid to the point I actually was speechless. I felt like Ralph in A Christmas Story when he's like, Santa can fix this for me. Santa will help me get that Red Ryder BB gun. All I gotta do is just talk to Santa. And remember when he finally goes up there to talk to Santa, he's so like traumatized and he's just speechless. He's just in awe of that of Santa Claus that he doesn't say anything. He gets pushed down the little slide, but he comes back up and tells Santa what he wants, and Santa's like, "You'll shoot your eye out, kid." Merry Christmas, ho ho ho, puts his foot in his face, and it was like he did a little mini curb stomp, sent my man Ralph flying through the rest of the slide, going into that pile of whatever, what was it, plastic balls or whatever that Ralph had went into or whatever. So it was awesome because like I meet Stan Lee and I'm just speechless. I'm speechless. I think I barely said an honor, sir. I mean, I was just like that hasn't happened like in a long time. The last time I was that like starstruck that I was just in awe, honestly, was when I had Jake the Snake Roberts on my show, and I was like a big fan of Jake Roberts. That was probably like the last time I was like, because I remember when I did that interview with Jake Roberts, I was fumbling all over the place. It was a lot of rinse and repeat with regards to Awesomecon. A lot of the Q&A panels and stuff had repeated itself over and over and over again. But if I were to describe Awesomecon to somebody, it's got great elements of sci-fi, action, drama, romance. There's like dating, costumes, Halloween. It's got like all of these crazy things just piled up into one, and there's a little bit of something for everybody. So if you got a little bit of a nerd side to you, there's like plenty of stuff. I tell you, man, I said it off and on during my coverage, but David fucking Tennant, I know pretty much like the best Doctor Who of all time. That man was selling out, and like from those I had spoke to from Awesomecon, they were like, man, David Tennant has been here a couple of years and he has been like one of the strongest draws for Awesomecon, so it's like a no-brainer that you got to have David Tennant included in it. And it's like, really? So there's actually this one woman that had went to the event, and I mean, it said a lot about her. Guys, I don't know about y'all, but I'm sorry, I would not let, and kudos to David Tennant, because it actually wasn't him that did it. But the other guy, I don't know if maybe he was a Doctor Who, or if maybe he was like the sidekick to David Tennant's Doctor Who or whatever, but there was this woman that just whored herself. She was probably like in her late 40s, and she actually had let the other guy grab her boobs. I mean, it was a nice tight squeeze, and I'm going, wait a minute, you gave the green light to let some guy grab your boobs? And David Tennant, the picture is priceless because his mouth is just like wide open and he's looking like, oh my God! I mean, he's looking literally like that. You can't help but laugh, but then also you're like, wow, like, damn, woman, like, yeah, Brendan, John Barrowman, yeah, John Barrowman. Look, Doctor Who fans, do not beat me up. I never, sadly, was that much of a fan of Doctor Who. I tried, really. I did try to watch it. I didn't knock it. I didn't diss it. I just honestly said, this ain't really for me. But I will say, anytime that I saw David Tennant, it was Doctor Who, I did watch a couple of episodes with him, and quite honestly, I liked him. I thought he was good. He kept me around for a little bit. I mean, I wasn't like a dedicated fan or anything. I would probably, in my whole history, I've probably watched about maybe 5 episodes of Doctor Who, and those episodes had involved David Tennant. And then after that, it was kind of like, oh, okay, well, you know, whatever. But yeah, it was John Barrowman that freaking was grabbing onto the woman's boobs, and I'm just like, wow, woman, have you like no freaking class? like way to signal how easy you are, you know, easy access. Come one, come all, literally come. But yeah, Sunday I got to meet Stan Lee. That was great. My one regret, I tried, guys. I really tried. The Stan Lee exhibition. There was like Iron Man body armors that were in glass cases. There were all types of cool stuff. They basically had dubbed it like the Stan Lee collection or whatever. I tried, man, but the lines were like so freaking long, and I was not sure if I could use my press credentials to skip the line. And like the last thing I wanted to do was piss off people. So, I mean, the lines were ridiculously long. I mean, that was probably like one of the hottest things at Awesomecon, to the point that like, if you would have waited in line, you probably would have been there for like about at least an easy 2 hours. At least an easy 2 hours waiting in line, because it was just massive. I thought it was like, oh, it's just going to be like a small little thing. You're going to be in and out. No, I mean, it was a big ass section. It was like, I'm trying to think of like, what's a good size to kind of like give you what's a really good decent size. You all know how you got your Burger King that usually will stand out by itself and it has drive-through. Well, basically, picture that whole Burger King, but make it 2 Burger Kings that are together, and it's all filled with Stan Lee stuff. All right, it's filled with stuff from Stan Lee's personal collection. Now picture a line that pretty much wraps around both of those buildings, and while you're at it, throw in 2 more Burger King buildings that basically will represent the crowd. So I mean, it was like that freaking long that it wasn't even funny. So I was like, you know, and I saw some of the pictures from those that were able to get in there, and it was like, oh man, I wish if I had one regret, I wish I could have seen that. But Awesomecon, I'm trying to think if there's anything else maybe I had missed, anything that I need to discuss. Honestly, in a nutshell, a lot of what I had heard from those that have been to every single Awesomecon, they really had enjoyed how this year had stacked up. They felt that the way the lines were being handled was well executed as opposed to last year, because last year was a clusterfuck. Last year you had VIPs that were mixed in with the general admission people, that like somehow the lines got mixed up, and VIPs, you a VIP, you should be going first, right? But that wasn't happening. You had people that like only paid $40 or whatever. They were able to go before the VIPs. They were able to go ahead of those with the fast pass and all that. So it was just very disorganized last year from a lot of the people that I did have the opportunity to speak with. They all were in agreement that this year it was well organized, better executed. Met some pretty colorful, interesting characters. I still have video footage too, by the way. I had recorded a couple of things. Once I get the opportunity to sit down, it just depends on my work schedule for the rest of this week. If I get a free moment to do a little bit of remixing and editing, I will gladly upload some more content. Hopefully I can have it up before this weekend hits, because I also want to try to get back into 30 with Lee. We're supposed to be doing the gangster series for the next little bit. So stay tuned. Be connected throughout social media. Now, for you Patreon members, I'm going to be sharing with you some pretty exclusive candid talk about Awesomecon that I'm not going to be sharing with the public listeners, and you'll understand the reasons why. Again, that's going to be exclusive to our Patreon members. So that will pretty much be for your ears only. For those of you that, maybe want to check that out, hey, now's the time. Feel free to become my Patreon, as you will be able to access exclusive audio and video content, our original series like 30 with Lee, exclusive interviews, and so much more. Patreon.com/RCWR show. So, again, thank you very much to the great people at Awesomecon. Let's do this again next year, man. I'm already pumped. I'm excited. I'm ready to do it. So, other than Awesomecon, by the way, while I'm still thinking about Awesomecon, a little bit of a tip for you guys. If you're going to be in the Northwest DC area, for those of you that may be having a little bit of a hard time finding parking, if you're going to be doing some stuff around the convention center, or you're going to be doing some stuff around Chinatown, and you're having difficulty finding a parking space, in between 9th and O Street, there is a BP gas station. And it's pretty much like a word of mouth type of deal. So this is the word of mouth coming to you all now. You need a place to park. All you got to do is go in there and just say, hey, I'd like to park here for a couple of hours. How much will you let me park here for? And they got some pretty good rates, I got to tell you. If you want to be there for like about 8 hours or whatever, $15. If you want to be there overnight, $30. Now that ain't really too bad, but I mean, come on, when you break it down, hey, to put you in a position where you can park your car there and you ain't got shit to worry about, and you can do that for like about 8 hours, that's a pretty damn good deal considering most of the joints that's there in Northwest DC, they're charging anywhere from $20, $26 an hour. An hour. So to get away only paying $15 for about 6 to 8 hours, that's pretty damn good. And then even if you just want to do overnight, to just do flat out $30, that ain't too bad as well. So just a little something to keep in mind. Oh, I'm glad we're still talking about this too. If there was also one thing with regards to my stay, Awesomecon was fantastic. No complaints with Awesomecon whatsoever. I do have a complaint about the hotel that I stayed at. One complaint. Now, despite this complaint, I would actually still go back. And I would actually go back to Cambria and stay again. And I'm going to let them know this when I get the green light to post a review so that they can try to look into this. But long story short, my girl had got bedbug bites. I'm not sure how she got them. I was talking to one of my coworkers about it today. I said it's so weird because I slept in my boxers pretty much the whole time we were there. Why didn't I get bedbug bites? And he was like, sometimes, that's happened to me. Sometimes I've been in a position where, me and my girl, we've stayed at a place and she's gotten the bites and I haven't. Sometimes it just happens that way. Sometimes they're just attracted to, I don't know how you explain it. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, it's like that though. I'm like, oh, okay. And I confirmed, I'm like, are you sure these bites didn't come from elsewhere? She's like, didn't have these bites, didn't have these markings when we got here. I know for a fact these got here pretty much shortly after we left. I'm like, that's... So I can't stress it enough. As you should whenever you go to a hotel, make sure that before you unload your luggage, you check the bed sheets, you make sure those are on point. And I'll tell you something else in retrospect that I wish she did not do. I wish that she did not put our clothes in the drawer, because that's another way you can definitely pick it up as well, potentially. Honestly, just put your stuff, leave it in the luggage, put it in the corner by the door or put it on the sofa or whatever, and just pretty much go about it that way. So that is the talk of Awesomecon. That pretty much took up a whole hour, and it's all good. So let's talk about some other crazy stuff that came about. Yeah, there is, of course, wrestling that we can talk a little bit about. Now, I didn't have a chance to see all of Monday's WWE RAW, but there was a decent amount of stuff that, actually, you know what? Bear with me a second here. I got to make sure that it's getting kind of late, and I have yet to see my girl. Wondering if she left me a message here. I don't see anything, so I guess I'm okay. But you know what? Let me just leave this ringer on here, just in case. There we go. Good. Okay, so I did watch Monday's WWE RAW, but I only saw a little bit of bits and pieces, so I can't really talk about it at great length, but I can definitely talk about the little bit that I did see, and most importantly, react to some of the key story arcs that had went down. First off, I gotta give a big shout out to the Hardys in their match against Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson. I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was actually a pretty damn good opener, pretty damn good tag team matchup. I also had loved the segment that involved Elias Sampson and how he was just tuning up his damn guitar and he's just working that crowd. I mean, he is getting that freaking heat. And I've always been a firm believer in getting some type of a reaction. It just fits into the longevity of your career in wrestling. So for him coming out there and he's trying his best to fine tune his guitar, and finally you hear the music of Finn Balor, and they couldn't have done that any better, because right when you hear the little guitar riff stuff, you're going, damn, Elias Sampson sure does know how to shred a guitar. And then kind of like, wait a minute. Nah, he got an acoustic guitar. What's going on here? And then you realize it's Finn Balor's joint, and he comes out. The two of them just having that great stare down. Sampson leaving the ring. Like, okay, you got this. I'm done, man. It's all you. Have at it. We saw Finn Balor in action as he had defeated Bo Dallas. Later on, we would see Finn Balor in a backstage segment talking with Carly Caruso when he was attacked from behind by Elias Sampson. Sampson saying to him, never, ever again upstage me. So, there's your next feud right there. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what these two guys are going to be able to do. I know some people were a little bit concerned about what's going on with Finn Balor, and I gave some pretty candid thoughts on what needs to happen with Finn Balor in the coming weeks, because the question was put out there by you, our listeners, should Finn Balor maybe go on over to SmackDown? And I had addressed all that. You can actually find that on the Epic Sports channel. Just search RCWR show, Finn Balor, Epic Sports, and you should be able to pull it up that way. Some other stuff that came about, we found out that Seth Rollins is going to be gracing the front cover of this year's WWE 2K, WWE 2K18. Congrats to Seth Rollins. Look, I'm legitimately, I am happy for the guy. I am happy for the guy for so many reasons. Number one, I'm just ecstatic that, we're finally in a position. It honestly kind of feels like it's been a good minute since we've seen a current WWE star on the front cover. Like, just totally by themselves, It just seems like it's been a really good minute, because just go back for a second. You look at your previous 2K covers, Stone Cold was on one of them. Brock Lesnar was on one of them. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but wasn't The Rock on one of them as well? I believe Brock Lesnar was on. I already said Brock Lesnar. Trying to think who else. John Cena did one. Who else did one? CM Punk did one. I'm really ecstatic in a nutshell to see a current popular WWE superstar grace the front cover, because I know there were a couple of years where fans were kind of like, hey man, what's going on with some of these current WWE superstars? Why aren't they gracing the freaking cover? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So honestly, I'm happy. And I mean, this couldn't happen at a better time, because when you look at the current run that Seth Rollins has been having so far. Yeah, I'm looking at the cover list right now. So when it officially became the 2K series, it became the 2K series as of 2K14. Basically, it was The Rock, John Cena, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Brock Lesnar. So if you really just stop and think about it, all those names that I just mentioned, these were pretty much guys that, like, okay, respectfully, during the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, you all were dominating on covers of previous video games, it really does need to be about the current stars. So if you really want to get technical, just to kind of validate the reason why I'm ecstatic for Seth Rollins, it's because this is like officially, at least during the 2K series, that it's the first time that a widely popular WWE superstar currently full-time on the roster that is gracing the front cover of the 2K series. So I love it. I hope that honestly this is a continuing trend that will come about for years to come. It's a great honor. I love the trailer that they had showed. I was really taken back by it. I loved it. Now if we can just kind of figure out what's going to be some of the exclusive content, that would make me feel a lot better, you know, because for me, that's always the lure. What's the exclusive content going to be? Am I going to be checking out that game? Probably, because by now it's like, okay, you guys have had like about 2+ years dealing with the new gen console, so let's see what you all are able to do now in maximizing the respected engines. And then not to mention, we got the new Xbox S, so see some other stuff that came about from Raw. We saw a situation go down where there was a backstage segment. Curtis Axel was actually trying to cheer up Bo Dallas from that earlier loss to Finn Balor, when all of a sudden The Miz walked in and he talked about how they were a lot tougher on the set of Marine 5, and he wants them to join him to become his entourage. Miz makes a promise to them that he'll make them the stars they deserve to be, stars their families would be proud of. Miz calls it the casting call of a lifetime. He tells them to think about it and walks off. Soon after that, Bo and Axel, they give each other a look like, what the hell have we got to lose? So honestly, my reactions to that, I love this. I gotta say, if this was all along WWE's plan within recent months, whenever they decided, you know what, maybe we should have Miz come on back to Raw, if part of the equation was, well, maybe with his help we can try to elevate Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel, hey, I'm all fine for it. Because look, when it's all said and done, yes, would I love to see The Miz as a Universal Champion or as a WWE Champion? Yes, I would. The fact that he's pretty much just been a one-hit wonder, I don't like that. I wish he would be a multi-time WWE Champion. But does he really need a title just to, hey, he's the man? No, he doesn't. He doesn't even really need the Intercontinental title, but I gotta tell you, when I just look at storyline-wise, the current streak that we've had with Intercontinental Champions, Miz definitely has been representing to the fullest. So Miz is on fire right now. Pretty much anything that he touches, for the most part, it's intriguing, it's got your attention, and you're staying with it until the very end. And if it turns out you don't really like it, it's okay. Miz still has you hook, line, and sinker till the very end. So I'm very curious to see how this whole entourage thing plays out. I'm very, very curious. Could this maybe be the beginning of a situation where Miz eventually gets back to championship gold? We'll have to wait and see. But I love where it's kind of going right now. I need to see a little bit more of this. Of course, we had Roman Reigns. He had kicked off Monday Night Raw, pretty much coming out to a crowd of mixed reactions. He says that what he has to say, some people might not like it, but hey, he's going to go there. He goes over the list of accomplishments as far as the people he's beaten up, saying axe Bray Wyatt, axe Finn Balor, axe his little brother Seth Rollins, axe Braun Strowman, because as a matter of fact, he put Braun Strowman out of commission. He also bragged about retiring The Undertaker at this year's WrestleMania. And he says, yeah, you know what? I got a lot of respect for Taker, and I know Taker respects me because I beat him. But look, I don't care who wins the WWE Universal title come Great Balls of Fire. However it goes down, be it Brock Lesnar or that guy they call Joe. As it stands right now, I'm the number one contender come SummerSlam. Why? Because this is my yard, and I make the rules around here. And that's the way it is. And all of a sudden, Samoa Joe came out. Samoa Joe tells Reigns, man, you must have forgotten my name. And he told him, honestly, dude, I kind of felt a little bit offended. But I understood you had to make a case for your big announcement. I get that. But you ain't put my name on that list. You know why my name wasn't on that list of people you beaten? Because you've never defeated me. So Joe reintroduced himself, saying that he is Samoa Joe, the true number one contender and next WWE Universal Champion. Reigns follows that up by saying, dude, I never thought I'd agree with Paul Heyman, but after what he said last week, he's right. Joe, you'll never be Samoa Joe to me. You'll just always be, I think he really wanted to say some Joe. But when he said, it's just going to be Joe, I'm like, no, say some Joe. So Samoa Joe just, wham, hit him with a headbutt, started beating the crap out of him. He tried to go for the coquina clutch, but Reigns fought it off, connected with a Superman punch. That sent Joe out of the ring. They pretty much did a good hard stare down at each other, and that pretty much was the end of that. But that was a really good spot that they did. Other than that, some other action that came about. I'm trying to think. We had saw. I'm trying to think here. Bear with me a second here. I'm trying to think. We saw some brawling. Yeah, because that had pretty much set up the main event match of the night, if I'm not mistaken. And in the main event match of the night, which was Roman Reigns taking on Samoa Joe, that match was actually booked by Kurt Angle. God, I gotta tell you, it was fantastic the way that pretty much had ended, man. Because towards the end, let's pick it up towards the end, we saw a series of back and forth between Joe and Roman Reigns. Joe was continuing to dominate. He was covering, but that only had got him another 2 count. Joe mounts Reigns with the right hands. Joe keeps Reigns grounded to the mat. Joe drops Reigns with a headbutt, then goes for another senton, but Reigns moves out of the way. Joe gets up first, but Reigns makes his comeback. Joe ducks a big shot from Reigns' big boot that pretty much has sent him out to the mat only for a 2 count. Reigns would come in with a series of big clotheslines in the corner as the fans were starting to count it. Reigns drops Joe with another big shot off the ropes. Boos continue to pick up, as it would with Reigns at this point, as he was calling for the trademark Superman punch. Joe managed to get out of the way by sliding out of the ring. Reigns follows and hits it with the drive-by. Reigns brings it back in the ring, goes for the Superman punch, but Joe catches him in a inverted atomic drop. Joe connects with a big boot and a senton. That only got him a near fall. Joe tries to go for the Uranagi, but Reigns fought that off with a series of elbow strikes. Reigns would counter and connect with a Superman punch. That only got him a near fall. Reigns then decided, you know what, this match needs to be over. Tried to call for a spear on Joe. Joe knees him instead. Joe catches Reigns with the Uranagi for another near fall. Joe then tries to stalk Reigns and goes for the Conquista clutch, but Reigns resists. Reigns spears Joe, covers for the pin. Joe gets his foot up on the bottom rope. This was a really damn good main event match. So referees counting, and Joe makes it back to the ring before 10 count as the action moved outside the ring for a hot second. Reigns waits for another spear, but all of a sudden we see an ambulance that's backing up to the arena on the big screen, and when the doors swing open, It is the one and only, I'm not done with you yet, Braun Strowman, getting a big freaking pop from the crowd. Braun yells and walks through the backstage area. Joe takes advantage of the distractions, puts Reigns in the clutch. Reigns just basically passes out as the referee has no choice but to call for the match. So after that was all said and done, Joe stands tall, makes his exit. Braun's music hits. He comes to the ring while Reigns is still down. Braun stands over Reigns and looks down at him. Then he grabs a microphone and says Reigns has forgotten that Braun isn't done with him. Braun picks up Reigns, slams him on his face. He stands tall, starts yelling. And Braun says we'll see. Braun says he will see Reigns at the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view in an ambulance match. And that pretty much was it. I mean, honestly, I don't understand why that was not the main event match. I just didn't really get that. So remember what I was telling you about earlier with regards to Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel being part of the Miz's entourage? Well, they did it in the most peculiar way. As basically there was a segment of Miz TV with Maurice, and Intercontinental Champion The Miz had set out several replays of what has been happening in the saga between Miz, Maurice, and Dean Ambrose. So there's two bears in the ring. One has a sign that says "I'm sorry." The other has "Please forgive me" on it. There's also a large red box in the middle of the ring as Miz introduces his guest for the night, which is his wife Maurice, saying he owes her a big apology. Miz tells Maurice not to worry about the bears because he had them checked out this time. He also brought her favorite champagne, and she, yeah, whatever, I'm still mad at you. But eventually she kind of loosened up a little bit. Miz pretty much went on and says Maurice is his heart, his soul, his everything, and he apologizes for what's been going down the past couple of weeks, begs Maurice to forgive him. They kiss. Music is interrupted as Dean Ambrose comes out, crashing the party. I'm trying to think what had happened after that. I think Miz accidentally splashed the champagne on Maurice by pulling her in front of him. He apologizes once again. He turns to charge at Ambrose, but Ambrose moves and Miz runs into the clock, knocking it over. Maurice, she pretty much got pissed off after that, and she actually left again. Here we go again with the Maurice constipation walk. I tell you, I'm just picturing some people in the back just laughing their butt off over that. Because that's literally, every time I see her walk up the stage ramp like that in that haste, I keep thinking she has to go to the bathroom. So after that goes down, I'm trying to think. The Bears, if I'm not mistaken, they attacked Dean Ambrose. And it turns out the Bears were freaking Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. Yeah, so hopefully that's not going to continue to be a running gag with the Bears. I pray to God that Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel are not going to be teddy bears for the rest of their tenure with the Miz. Because, hey, you'd be surprised, man. Them teddy bears had got over the past couple of weeks. So that's the last thing we need to see, man. Last thing we need to see is, of all people, them guys in them bear suits every single week. See, other than that, Kurt Angle, he's still dealing with his mystery as far as who the hell is doing some type of weird propaganda on him. But Enzo and Cass, they wanted answers. They wanted to figure out, like, who the hell has been attacking them over the past couple of weeks. Kurt Angle had promised that he would deliver results by the end of the night to reveal who it was that has been attacking Amori and Cass from behind. So Enzo and Cass, they cut their promos. Cass promises to take care of who's been attacking them, and they will find him. Angle says he's been talking to people about what happened. He introduces the Revival first, and out comes Scott Dawson with Dash Wilder. He introduces the next suspect, which is the Big Show. Angle asks Show first if he's had anything to do with the attack. Show says Angle knows him better than that. He says Enzo and Kaz are both soft and should know that Show will come punch them in the mouth if he wants some. Show threatens Kaz as Kaz stares him down. Show says if this is what Angle thinks of him at this stage of their careers, maybe Show doesn't need to be on Angle's TV show any longer. Show leaves the ring and Kaz seems convinced Show has been behind the attacks. Angle would then address the Revival. Dawson argues and Angle says he's learned that the Revival has very strong alibis. Angle is then interrupted by Corey Graves, who stands up with a mic at the announce table. Graves says Kaz just lied about having a baseball-sized lump on his head after he was attacked. Graves says he talked to WWE medics and they never treated Kaz. Kaz says it wasn't the WWE medics, it was local EMTs. Graves goes on and says he doesn't know exactly what happened last week, but Graves apparently has some security footage. Why didn't Kurt Angle get what the hell is going on here? So anyway, Graves goes on and says he knows exactly what happened last week, as he has some security footage that shows Kaz in the backstage area last week. The video shows Kaz placing debris around the floor to stage an attack. Kaz kicks a box and lays down on the ground to act like he's hurt. That made the fans boo. Graves has the footage paused. Graves finds it curious that Kaz was laying in the same position that he was in when WWE referees along with Enzo found him. Graves says, "We know no one attacked Kaz last week." Graves accuses Kaz of attacking Enzo. Enzo turns to Kaz and says he knows there's more to it than this. Kaz fires back and says, "Damn right, he did it." Kaz asks if Enzo knows what it's like teaming with Enzo, because all he does is run his mouth all day. He even talked trash on Twitter to Conor McGregor. Kaz has wanted to slap Enzo around numerous times, but he didn't because he felt bad for Enzo. Kaz says everyone in the back doesn't like Enzo and he felt bad for him. Kaz says for years he put up with Enzo's crap every day until he finally just snapped. Kaz says it felt damn good when he attacked Enzo from behind. Of course, the fans, they're continuing to react negatively to Big Kaz. Kaz could care less, as he says he could have snapped Enzo's neck like a twig, but he didn't because he wanted to watch Enzo suffer for all the crap Kaz put up with in NXT and on Raw. Kaz goes on and says he slowed things down because he wanted to see how smart Enzo is, or if he is as dumb as he looks. Kaz says he realized Enzo is dumber than he looks. He then calls him deadweight, saying Enzo has been holding him down from reaching his true potential in the company. Enzo appears to be sobbing like a little baby. Yeah, man, it was pretty sad, man. But Kaz says Enzo is the reason he's never been a champion. Kaz says he's the superstar. He's where the money is. And he follows that up by saying Enzo's mouth writes checks that his ass can't cash, and that he's been behind Enzo for a long time, but they are now through. Kaz floors Enzo with a big boot that got more boos from the crowd. Kaz leaves the ring as they keep showing the replays. Kaz goes up to the top of the ramp, and you can just hear unanimously "You suck" chants. And that is pretty much how Raw had went off the air. So I know probably the biggest question that's on a lot of people's minds right now is, was it a smart move? for Big Cass and Enzo Amore being broken up? Well, I need you guys to really kind of understand it from this standpoint. Just a couple of things, and I'm not going to go all overkill with this, but you need to look at it from a couple of angles. Number one, anybody can admit this. Anybody. From the minute that you look at Big Cass, you say, God damn, that's a good looking kid, nice face, great looking body, that's some serious height, and he's got some serious width with the shoulders. Man, you do this guy right, you could probably make some decent money off of him. I mean, anybody that was watching NXT from the beginning and watched these guys, honestly, it was like always that way. If you are a wrestling promoter, you're trying to start up your own business, you're trying to figure out, like, okay, I need guys that look like they can definitely be a legitimate draw for my promotion. You look at a guy like Big Cass, you're like, yeah, I like that. Give me that guy right there. Probably one of the main issues that was coming about with Big Cass, though, was the promos, the charisma. We all know the story very well. Early on in developmental, Cass just was not able to string it all together, and he was pretty close to being put on the chopping block. And then all of a sudden, it was like, well, let's pair you up with Enzo Amore, and the rest was pretty much history. I mean, this is well documented. You can pretty much go back and check it out on the WWE network. So, you know, this was legit. Cass was legitimately on his way out, right? So, over the course of time, Cass has just, in my estimation, in my sincerity analysis, Big Cass has shown to me that he is evolving on the promos. He's evolving with that charisma. And honestly, with the few opportunities that WWE management has given him in the past to stand out as a star, he's honestly passed the test. There were a handful of times, I would have to say, in the past, God, it feels like almost 15 months, that, okay, all right, Cass, I see you. So, do I think it sucks that these guys never became the tag champions? I do think it sucks, but at the same time, if you're gonna eventually break up Cass and Amore, I mean, you couldn't have written this any better. I mean, the seeds that are just planted right there. I mean, what you have is a legitimate, storyline-wise, you have a legitimate feud. This is almost to that of the likes of when Shawn Michaels turned his back on Marty Jannetty. And anybody that's been listening to my show for a long period of time knows how much of an old school fan I am, that old school mentality that I have. So, I mean, to have Enzo Amore now be this underdog, right? I mean, it's almost no different than like when Diesel was like, Shawn, I'm done with you, man. Screw this. Or when Psycho Sid was like, man, screw you, Shawn Michaels. You know, it's almost kind of equivalent to that. So I'm liking this. I'm liking this, quite honestly. Now look, Cass is not 100% solid on the microphone, but it's just enough. It's just enough to get him over. The keys to success for Big Cass and promos going forward: little talk, as much as possible. That's how they're really going to need to go about it. But honestly, I think they're off to a really good start. But fans are really going to be invested in this. And I thought they established two things brilliantly with that closer on Monday Night Raw. Number one, they established Cass as the heel. They got exactly what they needed to get out of that. You couldn't have executed that any better. So they got what they needed from that. At the same time, Enzo Amore's stock is still intact, because now that the fans have seen this act of betrayal, Now they're rooting for now they're rooting for Omori to get revenge. This sense of betrayal, this act of betrayal. Now they're rooting for Enzo to get even. So without a doubt, you're going to have these two lock it up, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if these guys, I could see a scenario come about where Enzo perhaps takes the first fall, Enzo gets the next one, the third one, Kaz gets it. You know, if it were me, you have enough story to really let this play out. You could honestly, you got SummerSlam right around the corner, and you could easily have this culminate in a street fight, or you could have it culminate inside of a steel cage match. If it were me, and I'm just looking ahead to SummerSlam, I'm going probably with a gimmick match at SummerSlam. You're either going to do a street fight or you're going to do a steel cage. It's been a good minute since we've seen a steel cage match. So I probably would go that route with a steel cage match. But I loved it. It was a really great segment. It did exactly what it needed to do. It served its purpose for both men. The real key, though, is going to be, see, here's the thing. Kaz is always going to be lacking. And isn't that interesting? What Kaz was lacking in, Enzo had, and what Enzo was lacking in, Kaz had. So now that you're separating these guys, it's sink or swim. And the pressure, if we're going to talk about who's the pressure more on, it's more on Kaz. It is more on Kaz because Enzo, he's going to be fine regardless. He's still going to be able to come out there. He still has his catchphrases, all that good stuff. He may no longer be able to say the SAWFT joint, but he still has that oozing charisma. And it's enough that is going to carry him and Kaz in their feud for the next little bit. So, you know, me personally, I think this would be a really good joint. I would love to see them do some type of since SummerSlam is going to be coming to the Barclays Center once again, I would love to see them in some type of a Brooklyn Brawl match. If it was me personally, I would like to see them in some type of a New York street fight that sees them actually brawling in the city. I don't know if they can make arrangements with the transit authority, but I personally would love it if they could do some stuff where they're beating the crap out of each other on the subway, they're beating the crap out of each other on the subway station platform, they're taking it through the streets, and pretty much they're beating the crap out of each other going all the way into the theater, into the arena, and it's in real time. Everything is in real time. If WWE could coordinate all of that just perfectly, that would be freaking badass. That is how I personally would do it. I would have it set up so that the two guys, they could meet at a rundown little neighborhood. You know, let it be I don't know, somewhere 20 minutes away from the joint, or let them meet at a bar to begin the brawl or whatever, and it just taking it to the street, taking it to the street. You know, I would love to see them kind of do it that way. I'm curious what you guys think, because I'm not in the chat reading what you guys are saying right now, because if anything, I'm actually looking at my phone, and I'm waiting to see where the hell my girl is, because it's getting kind of late. I don't know what the hell. I might have to end the stream a little early, because I'm actually starting to get a little bit worried about her. But that is exactly how I would do it, quite honestly. And I'm just, for me personally, if you've been listening long enough, I've always been a fan of the outdoor brawls. So this isn't the first time that I've mentioned something like this. I definitely would love to see them stop going in the whole comfort zone and try to push the envelope a little bit like they used to in the past. I would love it if they could kind of go that route again, man. But we'll see what happens in the coming weeks, man. But also, we're talking about that, talking about Raw. Talk a little bit about SmackDown. So SmackDown, so they addressed the controversy there with the Money in the Bank finish for the women. Hey, look, just to really clarify on a couple of things. One, hey, it got people talking. I've always been a firm believer, and I really didn't stress this during the Money in the Bank after show, but let me stress it here tonight. Whatever you need to do to send the people home talking, be it good or bad, you just got social media buzzing, largely in part, you did your job. And that's exactly what WWE did. Now, whether or not it was always the plan to have the Money in the Bank briefcase be relinquished, that's a different story. We'll pretty much have to wait the coming days to see if that was always the intent or if they honestly just did not like the social media backlash that they had got from this. But I will say this in hindsight. Ellsworth was able to come out of there generating a ton of heat. And I thought that was great because Ellsworth really just seemed pretty flatlined. Okay, we get it. He's there for Carmella. Okay, they're not really sure what else to do with him. So, okay, so they're pairing him up with Carmella. We'll see how that kind of plays out. Whatever. But I got to tell you, for him to come out of it the way that he was able to come out of it, it put so much attention on him. And I loved how him and WWE brilliantly was just going around on social media trolling the hell out of everybody that had some unkind things to say about that freaking finish. Honestly, I love the promo that Carmella had cut tonight. That promo that Carmella cut tonight, that is honestly what I had been looking from Carmella for a long time now. She is really, really taking great strides. She has really just leaps and bounds of improvement. I loved everything about that promo that she had gave. I love how she mentioned how fans are saying she made a mockery of the division and how she disrespected a historic moment. What she got to say about that? Who cares? She says that she's been overlooked ever since she was the last pick in the WWE draft. She says she's not there for girl power. She knows that for damn sure. She takes a shot at the other Money in the Bank competitors, says that none of them mattered at the end of the day because she's that intelligent. And while the others were worried about making history, Carmella honestly was just planning for her future. As far as she's concerned, she won the match fair and square. And I love how WWE also thought of to bring it a point to have Carmella mention how Bray Wyatt stopped Roman Reigns from winning a few years ago. Kane helped Seth Rollins win a few years back. Knocking the fans, calling them internet trolls. They are pathetic. They should be ashamed. You know, look, when it's all said and done, I think unanimously nobody would have had a problem with Carmella winning Money in the Bank. It all just would have had to have gone down the way that I had suggested on the Money in the Bank after show. If it would have played out that way, then I think fans would have been like, oh, okay, all right, whatever. All right, hey, she grabbed it, whatever. But for something that was supposed to be very historic. And look, kudos to WWE for, okay, so we got this buzz. How do we use it to our advantage? And my biggest fear came true. What did I tell you guys? I said, what could they possibly do on Tuesday night? Are they possibly gonna like strip Carmella of the briefcase? That would like negate what they did at Money in the Bank. Would they actually have the audacity to take the briefcase off of Carmella only to do the match again, but do it on SmackDown? Then that like defeats the whole purpose of the pay-per-view. What the hell? So I'm almost kind of under the impression, I need more information as it becomes available, but it almost kind of comes off as if WWE, I would like to believe that this is always the intent, that this was always the plan. I would like to believe that. I do not want to buy into the idea that WWE did not appreciate the backlash, because I'm looking at it from this standpoint. All the attention it got them on social media. Ride it. Just continue to ride it. And the fact that they're going in this direction now, I can't help but question it, because it seems to me there used to be a time in WWE, wow, that was an unexpected reaction. Didn't think that was going to happen. Yeah, I know. We got to capitalize on this. Yes, we do. Okay, well, let's keep doing it. So I'm a little conflicted by this decision that they had made, because honestly, I thought for sure they were going to stick to their guns and they were going to allow Carmella to keep it. I thought the promo that she cut was very passionate, and I mean, it was just like, all right, she set the tone. Now we need to ride that out. So I'm curious where this is going, because I have to say, for SmackDown, this is most intriguing. And if there's one thing I got to give SmackDown a lot of credit for the most part, their story arcs, it leaves you going, wonder how that's going to play out. Let's see. Other than that, great matchup between Dolph Ziggler, Shinsuke Nakamura. That was a damn good classic matchup there. Kevin Owens, he had a United States title match. He had defeated Chad Gable. It was an okay matchup. Your main event match was Jinder Mahal defeating Luke Harper. Towards the end of the match, actually after the match, as Jinder Mahal was standing tall with his victory, music of Randy Orton played. Orton came on out, met the Singh brothers once again, took them out, hits the ring, starts unloading on Jinder. Jinder manages to slide out, but Orton runs around the ring, clotheslines him onto the floor. Orton slams Jinder into the announce table, slams him on top of the barrier. That caused them to fall into the timekeeper's area. Orton then goes for a draping DDT from the barrier to the floor, brings it back into the ring, waits for an RKO, but the Singh brothers attack him. Orton fights them off, delivers an RKO to only one of the brothers, knocking him to the floor. Jinder is seen retreating through the crowd as the other Singh brother comes from the top rope, but Orton connects with an RKO in midair. I'm hearing that was RKO number 1,800, by the way. And that's pretty much how SmackDown went off, as Orton just stands tall in the ring, looking out at Jinder, who's with the crowd. It pretty much goes off that way. So, decent. Notably missing from this episode of SmackDown, no Shane McMahon to welcome Daniel Bryan back. I guess to a certain extent you could say, well, this was Daniel Bryan's big comeback because we hadn't seen him in a couple of months. Let him enjoy this night. Maybe Shane McMahon could come back next week. Okay, that's fine if you want to go that route. Yeah, sure. But I just thought it was weird from the standpoint, obviously missing Lana. So nothing from Lana. Lana doesn't have anything to say about what had transpired with her Money in the Bank defeat at the hands of Naomi, and somewhat of the slight interference that Carmella had caused. What's up with that? Also, no Rusev. I missed the little viral videos and all that from Rusev. What's going on? I missed the demands from Rusev. What's up with that? Also notably missing, Naomi. Where was your women's champion? Please don't come at me with the whole, well, she had a successful title defense, so she's just kicking back trying to see how all of this is going to play out, blah, 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 blah. Honestly, I thought it would have made a lot of sense to at least have Naomi. Now, look, maybe it went down. I missed it. If I missed it, y'all can correct me, let me know, because I was doing a lot of multitasking. But it would have made a lot of sense to see, of all people, the women's champion go up to Daniel Bryan and say, hey, look, I know you got a critical decision to make and everything, and I really don't have anything to gain from this because I'm already holding on to the title right now. I'm just waiting on whoever is going to be my opponent that I'm potentially going to be facing for this. But I just want to let you know, from my standpoint, this is how I feel about the controversy that had went down. You know, I want to comment on it as your women's champion. I want to officially go on record. So I thought it was kind of missing. You know, we had all these other girls, but it's like when it counts the most. I mean, stop and think about it for a second. You got Sami Zayn, the only male that's like, oh, hey, and he says it to Becky, oh, hey, that sucks what happened with the finish. Now, what's coming about with that? Is that some type of a love entrance angle that maybe is in development? I hope not. I really hope that's not something that is in the works. More on that later. But, yeah, I thought that was kind of weird that no Naomi. I also thought it was weird that the Bennetts, Maria and Mike Bennett, they weren't there after they made their debut at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. They weren't there. What's up with that? So, a lot of head-scratching moments right there. Hopefully all of this gets fine-tuned by next week's SmackDown. So apparently Lana and Naomi did have a backstage segment. Okay, I missed that. I missed that. But it does not exclude Naomi saying something about the controversy. I want to make sure I stress that. Naomi definitely should have said something. And the Canellas had a small segment as well. Again, didn't see it. It must have been that goddamn small because I was multitasking and I actually had the show streaming on my tablet. So that must have been like a 30-second type of deal. I'll have to go back and check that out. That's pretty weird that I missed both of those things and I pretty much was watching it the entire time. That's very weird. It must have been about, 30 seconds or something? I don't want somebody to come in, no, actually it was about 3 minutes long. Fuck you being a dick. Anyway. Other than that, interesting interview that Big Show gave recently on the Talk is Jericho podcast. He had some pretty interesting choice words. He talked about how he still enjoys working WWE live events, but he doesn't like doing the TV tapings. He says that he loves to work the house shows on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, but hates going to TV tapings. Direct quote, I love the live events. I love the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday live events. I hate TVs. TVs, I just want to bash myself in the head with a hammer because they're just long, useless, time-wasting, bullshit days where you just sit around all freaking day for some idea that absolutely sucks, debating it for hours and 1,700 inputs, and one or two guys laced up a pair of wrestling boots in their life and know what they're talking about. The others have never laced up a pair and really don't know but for some reason they're telling you what to do. So you're just sitting there baffled. We all have that same look at TV. We walk around baffled going, why are we doing this? I like the live events. It's not as crazy. There's not as much BS backstage. It's just me and the guys. I like that part, and I like getting out and working. I've done a lot of stuff where I go down, I knock somebody out, and I leave. I hate that. I get it. I'm old and beat up, and they and they want to help me out and extend me, but I like getting in the ring. And I should also note that while Big Show believes that new talent should be given television and pay-per-view time, he does not like to wait around all day to ultimately not get used on TV, saying there's a lot of change going on. There's a lot of new talent. There's a lot of new opportunities, and I'm okay with that. They should get the TV time. They should get the pay-per-view time. I'm totally fine with that. Just don't make me come to Mondays when I don't have anything, when I don't have to do anything. That pisses me off. Do you know what I mean? If I'm coming, use me. If not, send me home. Sincere Thoughts by The Big Show. I am not picking that up as a work whatsoever. We have heard him a sprinkle here, a sprinkle there. Honestly, within the past 3 years, talk pretty candidly about what is currently going on with him in the company, and this is really him just unchained. And I gotta tell you, when you are a wrestling veteran that has been at it for a couple of decades, you've seen it all, been through it all, you get to that point where you're like The Big Show. You can say some stuff and you're pretty much untouchable for the most part. I feel exactly where he's coming from, and I think anybody can relate to this. I mean, who hasn't had that job where work is kind of getting a little bit slow and you're kind of like on the sidelines trying to figure out whether or not you're going to be utilized, whether you're going to get that call to come in for work the next day or whatever. You're waiting. And then maybe a situation comes where like you do go to work. They aren't really sure how they're going to be utilizing you, so they want you to just sit there for a little bit, and then the next thing you know, we don't really have anything for you, sorry, and you're kind of like, what the hell? Eventually, that's how you get in a position where you go, okay, you know what? Maybe it's time for a new change in scenery. So I totally get where Big Show is coming from. This guy is not coming off as a jaded prick. He's not coming off as somebody that, I gotta get my TV time because I'm the Big Show. I mean, he is legitimately, this isn't the first time we've heard of wrestlers that like, we've heard younger wrestlers, talents much younger than the Big Show, say, yeah, honestly, I just didn't like the fact that I really wasn't being utilized. I'd show up, not being used. Hell, didn't JTG say in one of his books, like, he was just there and they weren't using him, and it just kind of got to the point he was like, I think he was Shad. He's like, hey, you want to go get something to eat? And they went and did sightseeing and all that jazz. I mean, that's kind of like how it is in that environment. So I totally respect Big Show. I get where he's coming from. I'm not picking up douchebag in this. I agree with him. Like, hey, if you want me there on this particular day, have something planned for me. If you ain't got nothing planned for me, then don't call me up. Call me up when you definitely got something laid out. Yeah, it kind of sucks that they have him just come on out there, wham, do a little punch, walk off. You know, I get that. I get that. I really do get that. See, other than that, hey, I gotta give a shout out to my man. I was shocked when I had heard that this dude had passed away too, man. Pissed me off fucking big time. I didn't appreciate hearing this. Prodigy from Mobb Deep, man, everybody I know back 1999 had that one album by Mobb Deep, Murder Music. That one track alone, Quiet Storm. I ain't talking about the damn remix with Lil' Kim either. I could care less about that one. I'm just talking about the straight up original joint. Love that freaking track, man. That whole album was tight. Let me tell you something, and y'all may like not even be aware of this, but there's actually an instrumental version of that album, and it's been out for some years now. There's like a legit instrumental version of the album, that listening to just by itself, because my man Havoc that had produced that album, he put down some ill beats on that whole freaking album. But yeah, my man, he passed away. Prodigy passed away at the age of 42. Pretty young, pretty damn young, right? He had been having long time health problems over the years. I believe the cause of death, I just had it here. Give me a second here, guys. Let me see if I can actually pull that up here. I'm so sorry. I meant to have my notes in front of me, and I'm not able to find it. Yeah, I can't find it. Damn. He died. Was it sickle cell? Hang on here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, he died after a performance in Las Vegas, having been hospitalized recently for complications tied to sickle cell anemia. So that's what he had pretty much passed away from, complications to that. So it's a fucked up way to go out. I wish that Unsung Productions would have been able to hook up with these guys, because I would have loved to have seen an episode of Unsung covering these guys, because these guys, they've been through a lot. The stories that they could tell, man. That was my album, though. Everybody in 1999 had that damn album. That was the album, man. Also, we got some new information with regards to Carrie Fisher. Looks like Carrie Fisher had cocaine, heroin, ecstasy in her system. A autopsy is showing. So, yeah, she had cocaine, methadone, heroin, and ecstasy in her system when she died back in December, according to an autopsy report that was released on Monday. The coroner's report listed sleep apnea as the primary cause of death, with drug intake as a contributing factor. The report stated that Fisher's family objected to a full autopsy, and coroner's investigators had access to limited toxicology specimens. The conclusions were based on toxicology results and an external examination of Fisher's body. So Fisher, as you all recall, she died back on December 27th, 4 days after going into cardiac arrest on an airplane arriving at LAX from London. The report states that Fisher's assistant was on the plane with her. The assistant reported that she was awake and normal at the beginning of the flight, but had multiple episodes, which was her baseline during the flight, and at the end of the flight she could not be awoken. So you hear all that. I mean, again, let's not lose sight. The official cause of death was the apnea, but all of those things contributed to her cause of death. So some pretty sad stuff when you hear that. See, other than that, oh yeah, did you guys hear about this? It's rolling out as of this week. Burger King, many Burger King locations I might add, they are going to be selling a Lucky Charms milkshake. It's going to be made with vanilla, soft serve, syrup, and the cereal. Talk about a diabetic's worst nightmare. That shit sounds nasty. Never in my wildest dreams that I think we'd ever see the day we'd get that. I've never been a fan of Lucky Charms. Never. The marshmallows, to me, always tasted like hard styrofoam. Yeah, that's definitely something I'm going to be passing up. Thank you very much. So, other than that, that's really it, man. There's nothing much else to cover. We actually did pretty good for Showtime here. What is this? Heard about the reports of him dying from choking on an egg while he was being hospitalized. He was eating on an egg and choked to death. What the hell? I'm not buying that. And just to show you something, I'm putting that in right now. And I am looking at something from about an hour ago. And I am reading it right now. No. Dude, where the hell did you read that shit? Stop reading bullshit gossip. New York Times and everybody else. I'm looking at New York Times from like about less than an hour ago. They're saying that Prodigy had died with regards to the sickle cell anemia. What is this shit about an egg? Are you high? Are you drunk? I mean, seriously. Yeah, I know Adam West had passed. I mean, seriously. What do you want me to say about Adam West? Fucking icon. Fucking icon. Adam West had passed on the 11th of June, and it's now June 21st. I mean, if you all want me to speak a little bit more from the heart about the passing of Adam West, I will gladly do that. But I'm not going to be repeating something that this person said or that person said. I think it's pretty unanimous, because I know so many people probably have listened to podcasts talking about the passing of Adam West. And I know at the time we were supposed to be on the air. I think we actually had took that whole week off. But what is there to say about the passing of Adam West? We lost a icon. You know, we lost an icon. So, no, Freddie, that's why you got to do the research on your own, man. I'm not upset at you or anything like that, so don't take it the wrong way. I'm just saying to you, see, here's the thing about the RCWR show. When you guys come in and listen to this show every Tuesday night, I've already verified the best of my ability the topics I want to talk about and go at it at great length. And I give you the most accurate info. I don't give you rumors, but if I am going to talk about a rumor, I usually tell you guys, hey, take this for what it's worth with a grain of salt. So, you know, I appreciate you guys that go, oh, well, I heard this and I heard that. If you all have been listening for a long, extended period of time, you should know by now, I do not like doing that gossip stuff. I don't like that. I mean, you got some shows that do a pretty good job in talking about all that taboo stuff, but I don't really like stuff like that. You know, I really don't. Now, for you guys that maybe, I will do this. When I was at Awesomecon, there was a really cool wall that everybody had went to write on, and I actually had wrote on it myself. And it was just a wall dedicated to sharing thoughts and memories on Adam West. You'll actually be able to see that video when it gets uploaded on multiple platforms later this week. But, you know, like, am I at a loss for words? No, because I don't feel as bad with the passing of Adam West, because he lived a nice, long, fruitful life, pop icon, no doubt about it. I mean, what more can you say about the passing of Adam West? I mean, seriously. The guy was a fucking pop icon. He made Batman cool. He is the OG of bringing the Batman character to life. You know, so, I mean, you know, that's all I gotta say. I mean, if you want me to elaborate more on that, I don't think I really do need to elaborate more on that. He will be missed. He will definitely be missed. There was one other topic I wanted to get into, and I'm actually glad that we're still on the air. So honestly, when we get done editing this is probably going to be about a 2-hour show max, because I know there was a couple of false starts that we did. This stuff that's going on with Bray Wyatt, by the way, I did want to talk about that. So I am aware about the news that had broke out last week of WWE superstars Bray Wyatt's supposed affair with fellow WWE employee JoJo Offerman. And this had became public once Bray's wife Samantha Rotunda filed for divorce alleging the affair. Well, there's now details that continue to come out with regards to this issue that has a lot of people like, what exactly is going on here? So Samantha Rotunda actually took to her Instagram page a couple of days ago and posted the following, and I quote, "It's quiet. Kids are napping and left alone. In my thoughts, I realize hashtag I hate you. The bubbly love, the tingles, the butterflies when you walked in the room, all gone. You made not a mistake, but a year and a half in the making, lifelong decision in front of the world that will forever change me and our girls' lives. You were selfish, out and about with no care to who saw the two of you together. You hurt me, crushed me, shattered my world. You were my world, our world, hashtag king of our castle. You lost us, our family. We worked so hard to make and protect. You made a choice. I hate you for hurting us. In due time, you'll see what you've lost. I was loyal, faithful, and loved you for you, not who you became. We found love when we had nothing and created a home, a family, a life together. You will never have that again. Hashtag loved you when you were a nobody. Hashtag I hate you. Hashtag you broke my heart. Hashtag soulmates no more. Hashtag you ruined us. Hashtag asshole. Hashtag stay at the mom. Hashtag divorce sucks. Hashtag cheating husband." So, as far as this affair that supposedly went down between Wyatt and JoJo, it's potentially going back to 2015. And I gotta tell you, the more and more information that comes out, it's really making Bray Wyatt look very bad. And the fact that Samantha has hooked up with the same lawyer that John Cena's first wife had used, and she had got some serious buku money out of that. I know there was a gag order that was put in place stopping her from doing interviews and talking about what it was like being married to John Cena, revealing all that juicy stuff. Nah, that ain't happening. So the fact that Samantha has hooked up with that same lawyer, I gotta tell you, it doesn't look good. Now look, I've always been a firm believer that there's one person's side of the truth, there is another person's side, and in the fine line, there is the truth. I'm not here to bash Bray Wyatt. I'm not. What I can touch upon as a man is when you meet a woman that is with you at your lowest, when you meet a woman who is with you through thick and thin, and she's got your back through some of the most lowest points in your life, she's the only one that believes in you. When you have that somebody that comes at you like that, you seriously need to do everything in your power to be loyal to that person. I mean, for me, I'm just old school like that. I've always been a firm believer in loyalty. And loyalty is a very important thing to me. It's just as important as taking a person at their word. Because I've always been a firm believer that all we have in this life is our word, because our word is our bond and loyalty. And when you break those, it's really hard to get back to good. So I know there's probably going to be other people that's going to want to use this opportunity to just have at it. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. It's not in my place to give advice. It's not in my place to pass judgment. I just wish that, honestly, as a whole, we as a society, we can not spend so much time talking about all of these type of things that's going on with some of our favorite celebrities, because when it's all said and done, when we're watching them on our television or when we're seeing them live in person, We don't care about all of that stuff. What we care about the most is them coming out and entertaining us to the best of their ability. That's what it's all about. And in this case, I'm sticking to that. I'm sticking to the higher ground. That's all I care about. I will say this. I pray, if anything, for those children. I pray that those children, no matter what, good, bad, and different, just this whole ordeal that's going about right now, I pray for the children that they're able to get some type of a peaceful resolution where it'll see both parents still be involved in the kids' lives, because they are the ones that's going to be suffering the most from this, especially since this is the WWE, a product that is really aimed heavily towards the kids. And heaven forbid those kids, they 9 times out of 10, hey, my dad's a WWE superstar and he got all these, hey, my mom said that your dad did. You know how kids can get their information, sadly. So those are the ones, if I feel sorry about anybody, I feel sorry about what those kids are possibly going to have to go through so far. So I'm going to let that be. And shout out to Razor. He did me a solid and told me what she was trying to say there. I made a promise to God. That's basically what she had said in that last one that was kind of jumbled up. So, oh, by the way, check out the season finale of Better Call Saul. I won't go into the specifics right now. I'm actually going to go on ahead and I will do a separate audio piece. I'm going to probably upload that one to YouTube and honestly reach out to the Better Call Saul fans. But I got to tell you, the season 3 finale titled Lantern, that was probably one of the most darkest and strongest storyline driven episodes I've seen of the Better Call Saul series to date. And if you had noticed through your Bing, Yahoo search earlier today, you may have noticed Better Call Saul was trending, and it was trending for a very good reason. That episode was really good. Let me tell you how good that episode was. That episode was so damn good. I was actually at work, and I usually get off my phone by the time it's like go time. But I personally was like, man, this is, and luckily I was actually able to sit down and enjoy the last 15 minutes in peace. And that was just, so fans of the Breaking Bad series, and you have been off and on checking out the Better Call Saul series, check out that finale. I know the arrangement that AMC has made with Netflix, typically once a season has wrapped up, I want to say not like the next day, but maybe like within a 2 to 3 week time span, that whole season will then be available to watch on Netflix. So in about 2-3 weeks times, you guys will be able to binge on the 3rd season on top of checking out season 1 and season 2. So other than that, I think we did pretty good. So when this gets cropped down, it's going to be about 2 hours and I'll say about maybe 10 minutes. Hey, I want to give a shout out to our show sponsor for tonight, as we're going to be working with them for the next batch of episodes of the RCWR show. Really appreciate them taking the time out to want to work with us, as we greatly appreciate having them on board. I want to tell you a little bit about them, as having a website is an important part of doing business. However, creating and maintaining one can be daunting, time-consuming, and costly. Dark Knight Design offers a simple website creation product that gets your business online with no fuss. They offer free support and updates to all hosting plans. Need changes made to your site? No problem at all. Just email them the changes and they will do it for you for free. Check out their starter plan for $5 a month, which is a value of $29 per month, using the promo code 6MTHSAT followed by the number 5 to check it out. All plans come with free website design and development. Once again, www.darkknightdesign.net. That's with 2 Ks. www.darkknightdesign.net. Your next edition of the RCWR show will be coming at you on Tuesday night, June 27, 10:15 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker.com. Stay connected to me throughout social media, especially on YouTube and Patreon, for more exclusive Awesomecon footage, audio, 30 with Lee. That's going to be uploaded this week and more. Shout out to everybody that checked out the show tonight live in the chat. Those of you going to be checking it out in the downloads, good night. Good morning.